like literally kneeing and cheap shotting C in the throat. Like if she did that to any of our teammates, we'd be pissed. But like they're definitely targeting her, and the league and the refs do nothing to protect her.
One unexpected comment has completely changed the conversation surrounding the WNBA. What started as another post-game interview has now exploded into a league-wide controversy, leaving fans asking whether something much bigger is happening behind the scenes. When Sophie Cunningham openly defended Caitlin Clark, her words immediately caught the attention of basketball fans across the country. Soon after, rumors, reactions, and heated debates flooded social media, with many questioning whether certain decisions inside the league are affecting players more than anyone realized. But are these accusations based on facts?
This ref right here, Angelica Suffering, I'm calling her out, man. Literally looking at this, she's paying attention to it, and I'm thinking every ref is paying attention to the ball. They usually do that. They have a problem with doing that, and they miss things like this, but you literally have this lady looking right at it, man, and don't say a thing.
Or has the story grown far beyond the original incident? In today's video, we're breaking down everything, from the comments made by Sophie Cunningham and the growing discussion around Caitlin Clark to the league's response, the public reaction, and why this controversy continues to dominate headlines. Stay with us until the end, because some of the details behind this story may completely change how you see the situation. The conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark has once again taken center stage in the basketball world. But this time, it isn't just about a spectacular three-pointer, a record-breaking performance, or another sold-out arena. Instead, fans are talking about something much more controversial. A series of comments that have sparked fresh questions about how the WNBA handles its biggest story. It all began after a post-game discussion in which Sophie Cunningham shared her thoughts about the physical nature of recent games involving Caitlin Clark.
That's cool.
Why would you ever put me on it?
But people are up in arms that Caitlin's not on it. And then also watching her get kind of her ass kicked last night. I do see everyone being like, why does the league not protect this person? I don't want to get in beef with Kathy either, but it is like she's jealous of her, or like thinks that like because she's a bigger face than her or like anyone the WNBA's had, that she like won't give her the platform. It's so weird. It's so bizarre.
While she never claimed to have all the answers, her comments immediately spread across social media, where thousands of fans began debating whether Clark has received enough protection from officials throughout the season. Within hours, basketball communities were flooded with clips, reactions, and opinions. Some fans praised Sophie Cunningham for speaking openly, saying she voiced concerns many supporters had been expressing for months. Others argued that basketball has always been a physical sport and that Clark is simply experiencing the same challenges every rising superstar eventually faces. And that's exactly why this story has become so fascinating. It's no longer just about one player or one game. Instead, it's become a conversation about officiating, player safety, consistency, and the future of a league that's experiencing unprecedented growth. There's no denying that Caitlin Clark has transformed the level of attention surrounding the WNBA. Since entering the league, television ratings have climbed, ticket demand has increased dramatically, and arenas across the country have welcomed record-breaking crowds whenever the Indiana Fever come to town. With that popularity comes an enormous spotlight. Every pass, every shot, every foul, every disagreement, every emotional reaction becomes headline news. Because of that attention, even ordinary basketball moments often become national conversations. The recent debate is a perfect example. As clips from recent games circulated online, fans started comparing different plays involving Clark. Some believed certain fouls deserved stronger penalties, while others felt officials were simply allowing physical basketball to continue. Neither side seemed willing to change its opinion. One reason these discussions continue growing is because basketball officiating is incredibly difficult. Unlike viewers watching slow-motion replays from multiple camera angles, referees have only a fraction of a second to evaluate contact while 10 professional athletes move at full speed. Even experienced officials occasionally miss important moments. That reality exists in every professional sport. However, many fans argue that consistency matters just as much as accuracy. If similar plays receive different rulings on different nights, supporters naturally begin asking questions. They don't necessarily expect perfection, but they do expect fairness. That's where Sophie Cunningham's comments gained so much attention. Rather than focusing on a single play, she spoke more broadly about protecting players and maintaining consistency throughout the season. Whether people agreed with her or not, her willingness to address the topic publicly added another layer to an already emotional debate. Soon after, sports analysts across television and digital media began discussing the issue from every possible angle. Some former players explained that physical defense has always been part of basketball and shouldn't automatically be viewed as unfair treatment. Others emphasized that leagues must constantly adapt as the speed and intensity of the game continue increasing. Those two viewpoints aren't necessarily contradictory. Basketball can remain physical while still protecting players from unnecessary contact. Finding that balance is one of the biggest responsibilities facing every professional league. As the discussion continued, another question emerged. Has Caitlin Clark's popularity changed the way people view every controversial call? Some believe the answer is yes. Because Clark attracts enormous television audiences and media attention, every incident involving her naturally receives far greater coverage than similar moments involving other players. In many ways, that's simply the reality of modern sports. The biggest stars always generate the biggest headlines. We've seen it happen with legendary athletes across basketball, football, soccer, tennis, and countless other sports. Whenever a superstar is involved, every decision is examined frame by frame. Every replay is analyzed. Every official's whistle becomes part of the conversation. The WNBA now finds itself navigating that exact situation. League officials understand that millions of new fans are watching games they may never have watched before. Those viewers aren't just evaluating players. They're evaluating the entire product. How games are officiated. How controversies are handled. How discipline is applied. How the league communicates with its audience. Every decision now carries more weight than ever before. At the same time, coaches continue reminding fans that basketball is an emotional sport. Players compete with incredible intensity. Split-second decisions happen constantly. Physical contact is unavoidable. That doesn't excuse unnecessary plays, but it does explain why officials often face extremely difficult situations during live action. Even after replay reviews, experienced basketball experts sometimes disagree about what should have been called. That's why debates like this rarely have simple answers. As social media continued amplifying every opinion, one thing became increasingly clear. This conversation had expanded far beyond one interview or one controversial sequence. It had become a discussion about the direction of the WNBA itself. Can the league continue growing while maintaining confidence in its officiating? Can player safety remain a top priority without removing the physical competitiveness fans enjoy? Can officials consistently apply the same standards every single night? Those are difficult questions. And they don't have easy solutions. Still, one positive outcome has emerged from this entire controversy. More people are watching the WNBA than ever before. More fans are learning the rules. More analysts are discussing women's basketball. More young athletes are paying attention to the league. In many ways, these conversations demonstrate just how much the sport has grown. But as attention increases, expectations grow as well. Fans expect transparency. Players expect consistency. Teams expect fairness. And every controversial moment places those expectations under even greater pressure. The biggest question now isn't whether people will continue debating Caitlin Clark. They almost certainly will. The real question is whether the league can respond in a way that strengthens trust among players, coaches, and millions of basketball fans who are paying closer attention than ever before. And that's where this story takes another unexpected turn. In the next part, we'll examine the reactions from around the league, the growing discussion involving Stephanie White, and why this controversy has become one of the most talked about topics of the WNBA season. As the conversation continued gaining momentum, another name started appearing alongside Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, Stephanie White. The Indiana Fever head coach didn't create the controversy, but her comments after recent games added another important perspective to an already heated debate. Rather than focusing on one specific play, White repeatedly emphasized something she believed affected every team in the league: consistency. That single word quickly became the center of countless discussions. Fans weren't simply asking whether one foul should have been called. Instead, they wanted to know why similar plays sometimes produced completely different outcomes depending on the game, the officials, or the situation. It's a question every professional sports league faces. No matter how experienced officials are, judgment calls will always create debate. Basketball happens incredibly fast. 1 second a player is driving toward the basket. The next second there's body contact. Then the ball changes possession. Within moments, the crowd is reacting before referees have even finished evaluating what happened. Those split-second decisions are among the hardest responsibilities in professional sports. Still, many fans believe consistency should remain the ultimate goal. That's why every controversial game involving Caitlin Clark receives so much attention. After recent physical matchups involving the Indiana Fever, social media exploded with slow-motion replays, freeze frames, and side-by-side comparisons from previous games. Supporters weren't just discussing one incident anymore. They were comparing dozens of different moments throughout the season. Some believed Clark wasn't receiving enough protection. Others argued that the physical defense she faced wasn't unusual for a high-profile player. The debate became increasingly divided. Meanwhile, sports television programs invited former players and analysts to share their opinions. Some reminded viewers that basketball has always been a contact sport. Others believed officials should take a stronger approach whenever unnecessary contact occurs. Interestingly, even those with different opinions agreed on one important point. No player should feel unsafe while competing. That message remained consistent regardless of which team people supported. As conversations continued, attention shifted toward the league's disciplinary process. Many newer fans didn't realize that controversial plays are often reviewed after games conclude. League officials regularly examine footage, evaluate decisions, and determine whether additional discipline is appropriate. That review system exists because not every important moment can be fully evaluated during live competition. However, reviews don't always satisfy everyone. Even after disciplinary decisions are announced, fans frequently disagree about whether punishments were too harsh, too lenient, or completely appropriate. That's exactly what happened here. Different groups interpreted the same situation in very different ways. Some believed the league responded appropriately according to its rules. Others felt stronger action would have sent a clearer message about protecting players. Neither side seemed convinced by the other. Another reason this controversy continued growing was the influence of social media. Years ago, debates surrounding officiating usually lasted 1 or 2 days before disappearing. Today, former players post reactions. Journalists publish breakdowns. Fans create their own analysis videos. Podcasts spend entire episodes discussing one controversial sequence. Every new opinion adds another chapter to the story. That constant attention increases pressure on everyone involved. Players know every move will be analyzed. Officials understand every whistle will be questioned. Coaches recognize every interview could become tomorrow's headline. It's simply the reality of modern professional sports. Stephanie White also emphasized another important point throughout the season. She consistently spoke about protecting athletes while maintaining the competitive nature of basketball. That's a difficult balance. If officials call every minor collision, fans often complain the game becomes too soft. If they allow excessive physicality, others argue they're failing to protect players. Finding the right middle ground isn't easy. That's why experienced referees spend years studying positioning, judgment, and game management. Even then, mistakes still happen. One missed call doesn't necessarily mean an official is biased. Likewise, one correct call doesn't eliminate concerns about overall consistency. Professional officiating is built around constant evaluation and improvement. As more basketball experts joined the discussion, another interesting observation emerged. Many former players explained that every generation believes officiating has become worse. Yet similar complaints existed decades ago. The difference today is technology. High-definition broadcasts, multiple camera angles, instant replay, social media. Every controversial moment can now be examined from perspectives officials never had during live action. That naturally creates more debate. Another topic gaining attention involved the emotional side of competition. Basketball players compete with incredible intensity. They're constantly making split-second decisions while dealing with pressure from coaches, teammates, opponents, officials, and thousands of fans inside the arena. Emotions sometimes boil over. That's part of sports. However, leagues also expect players to compete responsibly while respecting both opponents and officials. Maintaining that balance remains essential for the sport's continued growth. As discussions surrounding Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham continued, one thing became increasingly obvious. This wasn't simply about two players. It had evolved into a broader conversation about the identity of the WNBA. Fans wanted assurance that every player would be treated fairly. Players wanted confidence in officiating. Teams wanted consistency. League officials wanted public trust. Those goals aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, they all support one another. When players feel protected, competition improves. When officials communicate clearly, fans gain confidence. When the league responds transparently, controversies become easier to understand. Those principles matter far beyond one regular season game. Looking ahead, Basketball analysts expect conversations about officiating to continue throughout the season. That's normal. Every professional league experiences controversial moments. The true measure isn't whether criticism exists. It's how organizations learn from those situations moving forward. And perhaps that's the biggest takeaway from this entire discussion. The WNBA has reached a point where millions of people care deeply about every game. That's a remarkable achievement. With that attention comes greater responsibility, but also greater opportunity. The league now has a chance to strengthen confidence, improve communication, and continue building one of the fastest-growing audiences in professional sports. But while fans continued debating officiating and consistency, another storyline was beginning to dominate headlines. One involving the league's biggest stars, growing expectations, and why Caitlin Clark remained at the center of nearly every national conversation. As the headlines continued to grow louder, the conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark was no longer limited to one game, one referee, or one controversial sequence. Instead, it evolved into a much broader discussion about leadership, player safety, and the future direction of the WNBA. By this point, fans had already heard reactions from players, coaches, analysts, and former stars. Social media remained divided, with thousands of people debating whether the league was handling these situations the right way. Some believed the criticism was completely justified, while others argued that every professional sport experiences controversial calls and emotional reactions. But one thing became impossible to ignore. The spotlight on the WNBA had never been brighter. Every Indiana Fever game attracted enormous attention. Television audiences continued to grow, arenas remained packed, and basketball conversations extended far beyond traditional sports media. New fans were discovering the league every week, bringing fresh excitement but also much higher expectations. With that growth came a new challenge. Every decision now carried far greater consequences than before. Whether it was a foul call, a technical foul, a post-game interview, or an official statement from the league, millions of people were paying attention. That level of visibility changes everything. League officials understand that consistency isn't just important for players, it's equally important for maintaining public confidence. Fans may accept mistakes because basketball moves incredibly fast, but they expect similar situations to be judged by similar standards. That's where much of the recent debate has focused. Throughout the season, several analysts pointed out that consistency often matters more than perfection. Referees will inevitably miss calls from time to time. No official can have a perfect angle on every possession. What fans want is confidence that the same rules apply to everyone. Former players also joined the discussion, explaining that basketball has always included physical competition. Hard defense, aggressive rebounding, and emotional intensity are all part of what makes the game exciting. However, they also emphasized another important point. Competitive basketball should never come at the expense of player safety. That balance remains one of the biggest responsibilities for every professional league. As the conversation expanded, Stephanie White's comments continued receiving attention because many people viewed them as representing a broader concern rather than focusing on one isolated moment. Her message centered on accountability. Not blaming one official. Not criticizing one player. But encouraging a consistent standard that protects everyone on the court. That perspective resonated with many basketball fans because it wasn't about creating controversy. It was about improving the game. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham's willingness to publicly defend her teammate also generated widespread discussion. Some fans applauded her loyalty. Others believed players should avoid commenting on officiating altogether. Regardless of opinion, her remarks helped keep the conversation alive long after the final buzzer. That's one of the realities of today's sports landscape. Post-game interviews often become just as important as the game itself. One sentence can dominate headlines for days. One comment can generate millions of views online. One interview can completely change the direction of public discussion. The WNBA has experienced exactly that throughout this season. Every major storyline quickly spreads across television, podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media platforms. That level of exposure is both an opportunity and a challenge. On one hand, growing attention means more people are supporting women's basketball than ever before. On the other hand, every controversy becomes magnified. Small disagreements become national debates. Routine officiating decisions become trending topics. And every public statement is analyzed from every possible angle. Despite all the noise, Caitlin Clark has largely responded the same way she has throughout her basketball career. By focusing on basketball. Instead of allowing outside conversations to become distractions, she has continued preparing for games, supporting her teammates, and adapting to the challenges of professional competition. That approach has earned praise from many current and former players. Professional sports are filled with pressure. Handling that pressure while remaining focused is one of the qualities shared by many elite athletes. Looking ahead, the WNBA faces an exciting opportunity. Interest in the league continues rising. Young stars are attracting new audiences. Television networks are investing more coverage. Corporate sponsors continue expanding partnerships. The momentum is undeniable. Now the challenge becomes sustaining that growth. Doing so requires more than exciting basketball. It requires trust. Players must trust that games will be officiated fairly. Teams must trust that rules will be applied consistently. Fans must trust that the league is committed to transparency and continuous improvement. Those aren't easy goals, but they're essential for long-term success. Fortunately, every controversy also creates an opportunity to learn. Professional leagues constantly evaluate rules, review officiating procedures, and adjust policies when necessary. That's part of the natural evolution of sports. The WNBA has already demonstrated a willingness to grow over the years, and many expect the process to continue as the league reaches new audiences around the world. At the end of the day, this entire discussion reflects something positive. People care. Fans are emotionally invested. They celebrate great performances. They debate controversial moments. They defend their favorite players. That's exactly what passionate sports communities do. Whether someone agrees with Stephanie White, supports Sophie Cunningham's comments, or believes the officials handled the situation correctly, everyone ultimately wants the same thing. A competitive league. Fair officiating. Healthy players. And great basketball. Those goals unite fans far more than any single controversy ever could. As this season continues, new storylines will emerge, rivalries will intensify, and unforgettable moments will undoubtedly capture the attention of basketball fans once again. But this controversy will likely be remembered as one of the defining conversations of the season, not because everyone agreed, but because it encouraged a larger discussion about accountability, consistency, and the future of one of the fastest-growing professional sports leagues in the world. And with so many talented players, passionate fans, and exciting matchups still ahead, one thing is certain. The next chapter of the WNBA story is only just beginning. So, what do you think about everything we've discussed today? Do you believe the WNBA is handling these situations fairly, or do you think the league needs to make changes to improve consistency and player protection? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop your opinion in the comments below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more updates on Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever, and all the biggest WNBA stories, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos. We cover the biggest headlines, breaking news, game analysis, and behind-the-scenes stories from around the league. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting the channel. Stay safe, enjoy the games, and we'll see you in the next video with another major WNBA story.